This is what happens when you shower right before bed. And if you take a man who looks like this seriously, that's on you. Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. If the NHL continues to screw the Boston Bruins, I may have to switch to covering hockey-only Perna. There is nothing wrong with making it impossible for Boston sports teams to win a championship for the next 25 years. And I expect NHL officials to double down on the screw Boston movement in Game 6. Maybe if Roger Goodell didn't piss off all of the NFL referees, they'd stop pushing the Patriots through to the Super Bowl every year. Luckily, we were given reprieve to the Patriots' reign of terror when the Eagles beat them in the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. Yesterday, the Eagles paid the quarterback not named Nick Foles $128 million with over $107 million guaranteed. Unless Carson Wentz has been doing this in practice, then I have to ask whether or not this was the right move for Philly. Can Carson Wentz play a full season? The Tyreek Hill investigation is over, and let's honor the worst night in sports in this episode, the Patriots Ring Ceremony. That's good sports. If you're a fan of football content on YouTube, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also, I do have big dig Patreon shoutouts for Rob B, upping his donation to $5, Christian Williams and Paul Deal, both donating $10, and then for whatever magical reason, Math Magic Man and Andrew Alfstad on the same day gave me a $100 donation. I can't imagine someone looking at this channel at my work and saying, yes, this is worth $100 of my hard-earned money. That shit is humbling. You guys are saints and deserve whatever you want in this world. I will say this, if I get up to 1,000 patrons on Patreon, I will follow Tom Brady on Twitter. Last night, the Patriots had their ring ceremony at Robert Kraft's house. This has obviously happened 6 times for them now. And all I have to say is, look at it! Just look at this picture! The Brady 6. Basically the sports world's version of the Central Park 5. Look at it! Look at his eyes and his rings! Does it hurt? Yeah, it hurts. But does it make you less of a man? No. It's literally just a picture of a man wearing really stupid looking jewelry. I really think this is actually a before picture of Le'Veon Bell. As in, this is Le'Veon Bell before his girlfriends robbed him of $500,000 in jewelry. Which is actually dumber, how big and gaudy Super Bowl rings are now, or the fact that Le'Veon Bell had an amount of jewelry taken away from him, probably by call girls, worth more money than my house. The irony here is, I don't know how in good consciousness Tom Brady, with that much jewelry, is going to lead the straight pride parade in Boston. I'm also a little worried about Tom's health. Dan Hansis on Twitter said Tom looks embalmed. And I'm not saying this to be mean, but Tom does look glossier than the lips on a Robert Kraft prostitute. Usually I look at Tom and I think, damn, despite how much I hate him, he does look good. Now he looks like he's wearing Arnold Schwarzenegger's prosthetic face from Terminator 1. Maybe like Terminator 1, Tom isn't evil, but just a machine programmed to destroy and enslave the human race. Why else would he and his lawyer send a cease and desist letter to prohibit Trevor Baptiste, a pro lacrosse player, from placing his TB9 moniker on lacrosse sticks and selling them? Is it because Brady really believes people are too stupid to differentiate between TB9 and TB12? No, it's because he has no moral compass, no soul, just a program to follow, one designed by his superior, Bill Belichick, who has 8 rings. As long as Bill has more rings than Tom, he controls him. Side question, who would win in a punching contest, Bill Belichick or Phil Jackson? This TB9 thing may have given Twitter one of the best tweets of all time. From Jerry Raganese, Tom Brady kicked my grandmother down the stairs when she didn't recognize him. Trevor, that's the TB9 guy, showed up every day to push her wheelchair and helped her plant tomatoes for the family's gravy harvest. Thanks to TB9, the Raganese's spaghetti is properly sauced for another year. You know what's funny is I sat down with the intention of just writing a quick video about Carson Wentz and his new contract, and then my tweet to Dave Portnoy of Barstool whining about the Bruins getting screwed over in Game 5 did so well, I accidentally went down another Patriots rabbit hole. You should be proud, though, that I only made a single Robert Kraft prostitution joke for their ring ceremony. How could I make more when even former Patriots like Brian Flores weren't scared to shake his stink-fingered hand? And yes, I mean his hand, not just his finger. What was I saying? Carson Wentz. He's going to make roughly $32 million a year with $107 million guaranteed out of a possible $128 million after 3 seasons in the NFL. A modest rookie season, an MVP caliber season cut short by an ACL tear, and a good season cut short by a back injury. Wentz started all 16 games as a rookie despite suffering a rib injury in that preseason, but his games played has decreased every season since, with 13 played in 2017 to 11 games played in 2018. So is giving him this much money a risk or a brilliant move by the Eagles to save money later? By now, Eagles fans should trust in Howie Roseman. I know I do. Wentz has proven, when healthy, he's worth the money he just received. Last year, he suffered from stress fractures in the vertebrae in his back. And I specified in case you don't understand basic human anatomy, which is obviously a concerning injury. What I'm trying to say is that it's good to have a spine that works. As someone who's been called spineless plenty of times, I think I would know. The good news is, even fractures to your vertebrae typically heal like fractures to any other bones in your body. I read an NBC Sports article with a doctor's opinion on the injury, and he didn't seem too concerned about Wentz's health moving forward. Sure, he was only a Dallas-based doctor of Hebrew studies, but I trust his opinion. A PhD is a PhD. Until you realize the H in PhD isn't actually an H. It's just 2 uppercase I's connected by a dash. A great intellectual trick. Basically, Carson's back shouldn't be a chronic problem moving forward, assuming he gives it enough time to properly heal, as the fractures likely occurred from impact and not repetitive movements or from his throwing motion. Which means Wentz is just really unlucky when getting hit on the football field. The savvy thing about the signing for Wentz right now is that the Eagles would have paid more money if they waited until his rookie contract was done in 2 years. Maybe a lot more money depending on how the new collective bargaining agreement goes. Also, letting Nick Foles go means Philly is all in on Wentz. We already knew that. And if he plays a full 2019 season and say wins MVP, they definitely saved money by signing him now. Because on a per year basis, he's not even the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And as long as the quarterback play doesn't fall off quick, literal or otherwise, most of these contracts end up being a bargain by year 3. Wentz could get injured again, yes, and that's the real concern. What makes him such a great QB is his style of play. Elite recklessness. He reminds me of what Aaron Rodgers has done the last few seasons. I think they are both incredible quarterbacks, but take more hits than necessary, which is a risk, but it's because they are confident in their ability. Rodgers started every game last year, but was hurt most of the season with that knee issue, and of course only played 7 games the season before. Wentz being tied to the Eagles through the year 2024 with Doug Peterson in place as head coach means Philly has stability at the 2 most important positions in football. Wentz was playing really good football last season before injuring his back. The first 2 weeks were a little dicey when he returned from the knee injury, and he had one really bad game against the Saints. Other than that, though, he was completing nearly 70% of his passes and not throwing many picks. He was sacked 31 times, though, in 11 games. By comparison, Nick Foles was only sacked 10 times in 7 games. If Wentz can learn to curb the amount of hits he takes, I think he'll be just fine. Now, Josh Rosen may have thought going to Miami was safe, but he did not envision having to compete with a quarterback who manipulates vision better than Patrick Mahomes. The reason the football world unanimously loves Ryan Fitzpatrick is because at times he's an amazing quarterback. He's a ballsy gunslinger who went to Harvard and will throw 4 touchdowns in a game. 1 week later, though, he'll throw 4 interceptions. He is every man. Sometimes he does something great, Most of the time, he's pretty average, and sometimes he royally fucks up doing his job. That's who we all are, isn't it? No difference between me, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and the nuclear engineers at Chernobyl. I am the Ryan Fitzpatrick of YouTube videos. We also learned that the Tyreek Hill case is no longer active, meaning Hill and his fiancée will not be charged with child abuse after their son suffered a broken arm, and a disturbing audio tape of Hill threatening his fiancée was released before the draft. Basically, prosecutors stated they believed a crime occurred, but they couldn't figure out if Hill or his fiancée hurt their son, and they had trouble getting anyone who submitted anonymous information to go on the record and testify against Hill. This is one of those situations that is just too sad and messed up to make fun of. Based on his past, based on the audio tape, and what has occurred, I am not sure Hill or his fiancée should be allowed to care for children. We can bitch all we want about the NFL and whether or not Tyreek Hill should be suspended or banned, but the issue here is a child's well-being. And that keeps getting lost in this, and it's also something I'm not really qualified to discuss. So I will end this episode on this instead. For all the children out there, for all the kids out there, don't let Tom Brady be your role model. I mean, why should kids look up to a guy who was chugging beers and then driving and showing off? Maybe somebody should call the cops on the real criminal, Thomas Bradyus. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. If you want to follow me there, it's at Brandon Perna. I'll talk football with you on Twitter, or if you want to send me funny tweets, I like that. I like when you send me the funny stuff. Also follow at Wilkie6 on Twitter. He helps me write all of the football stuff you see here.